What's up you guys, Sunny here with GeekTools.net and welcome to part 1 of a multi-part series of hiding your cables on your desk. Basically in this part 1 we're gonna walk through the very basics of hiding your cables, some tips and tricks I have learned over the years, and yeah, we're gonna get started right now. Before I begin, we are gonna have a look at the desk itself that I'm using. This is a glass desk from Staples. Glass is a lot more challenging than a normal desk, a hardwood desk, because you can see right through them, making cable management really difficult. But what I'm going to say in these videos are going to apply to most, if not all, situations, so that's all good. Let's move down, and you will see the clumps of cables on the ground everywhere spread out, cable ties, a huge mess in this room. This is what it's going to look like in the beginning. It's going to look really messy, it's going to look really ugly, and you don't know what to do. But, you know, start simple, start with the very basics, and work your way up. To start off, make sure that you have these things all ready to go. Very important are cable ties, and these are not really ties, these are Velcro little straps that you strap your wires to. These are very handy, they're really cheap, and they work really well since you don't have to continuously rebuy them. They just come unfold if you want to add something new. So these are really handy. Next, we need our cables, and make sure that you have all your cables plugged in before you start your wiring. Now this is very important because when you start wiring, you can't really go back if you're using zip ties. So make sure that your cables are all ran through. And if you forget something, then you have to, you know, cut the cable ties and put that cable through, and it's going to be a huge pain in the butt. So we're going to have a little closer look at what I've done so far. Make sure that you have your power bricks in place before you do your cable management, or else maybe some of the cables that you put in are not going to reach the power bar, or this and that. So you want to make sure that your power bars are in place before starting. Make sure your power is off. Now my power is on because I've been testing some of my cables to see if they are functioning, and they are, so that's all good. Now my setup is a little weird, as in I have two workstations on one desk. This is number one, which is my primary. This is hooked up to this big guy here. This is my second workstation, which has, well, it used to have a MacBook Pro on it, which is at the Apple Store right now getting repaired. But basically, this is a laptop cooler, but it's a little bit modified, as in I have a USB hub inside, an external hard drive inside, and an audio controller inside. So it's a little more complicated because I have cables running inside of a laptop cooler. And don't worry you guys, don't write comments below, it's like you're affecting the airflow, you're affecting the performance. It's not, they're all on the very side or in the middle. And the hottest part of a MacBook Pro is this side, so it's all good. But the thing is, I have a huge clump of wires that run out of the cooler, so they have to be wired through the desk and down to the base station where all my power supply is. And that is a problem because most of those wires aren't that long. So what you gotta do, if you're willing to do this, that is to cut your wires and extend them. You can see here, this is an extended wire. Basically cut them, put in the positive and negative sides, and run your cables down and across, and then basically tie them back up, and you should be good. Just use some electrical tape like I have done. Now it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it works, and it works really well. The very next thing is to make sure that you have enough room to do your wiring, and that is this gap right here. If you guys don't have this gap, that is okay. Just try to see where you can hook your wires, but just make sure you have enough room. The gap is enough for your cables to go through. Basically, this desk is fantastic for cable management because there is that nice gap there, so I can run my zip ties through this little gap and tie the wires down, like I've done back there. If you guys can see, you can see nothing. Whoops, you can see nothing, nothing, and then all the rainbow of cables coming out. And the next thing I would like to say is to buy the correct zip ties or cable ties, or you know, those cable Velcro things. That is to have the same color as your desk. I've seen some people buying white zip ties for their black desks. That's not cool. It really stands out. So you want to buy the same type of zip ties. Here, you guys can't see it. That's how good it is. These are zip ties down here, and you can see that you can't see them at all on this camera. I could barely see them, but I could feel them. But these are zip ties here, and God, you can't barely see it. But those are zip ties over there. And you can see how easily it blends in. If they're white cable ties, obviously they're going to stick out and it's going to look horrible because it's just not going to match. And other things that you could keep in mind is try to keep your cables black. If you have a black desk, make sure they're black. If you have a white desk, make sure they're white. To do this, some people spray paint their cables, and I personally don't. I keep them whatever color they are. Like these Apple cables are white, I keep them white. But basically what I do is wrap them in electrical tape. That's going to be in my next part. But what I do is just basically wrap all my wires in electrical tape. So no matter what color the cable is, it's always going to be the same color as my desk. So anyways, that's in my other video. And that's pretty much it for part 1. This is the very basics, by the way. Just make sure that your cables are long enough, same cable ties, all that great stuff. Just keep those things in mind and you should be good to go. Once again, this is part 1. Check out part 2 if you guys are still interested. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Peace out.